top 10 cheapest countries to travel. The splendor of expensive destinations has its appeal, but let's face it, the more expensive a place is, the more you have to adjust the length of your trip and your activities there to stretch your dollar. There's something to be said for traveling to cheap countries, where an entire meal at a local restaurant costs the same as a movie ticket back home, or where you can sleep at a nice hotel for what would only get you a hostel bed in other places. Check out our list of some of the cheaper countries in different destinations around the world and why you should consider going there. 1. Denmark. Scandinavian countries are notorious for being the most expensive destinations in Europe, but if you have your heart set on visiting Northern Europe, there are ways to do it right and without spending a fortune. Of all the Scandinavian countries, Denmark is the cheapest, though still quite expensive when compared to other areas of Europe. To truly save money on this trip, you'll have to skip the busy summer season, and probably also spring, as the pleasantly warm weather means lots of tourists and higher prices. Flights and accommodation prices, however, are as much as 40% cheaper between September and November, right after the summer crowds have gone home but before the windy cold weather hasn't arrived yet. Denmark also offers a great way to save money on food: bakeries. Forget paying for expensive meals at your hotel or a touristy restaurant and instead walk into a neighborhood bakery away from the central area. Bakeries offer a great cheap option for breakfast: wienerbrød or Danish pastries, fluffy, flaky pastries filled with jams or custard cream. 2. Bulgaria. For cheap prices in Europe, very few places beat Bulgaria, an unassuming eastern country that remains very much off the beaten track. In summer, tourists from neighboring countries arrive in Bulgaria to enjoy the Black Sea for incredibly low prices, but the rest of the year, the country is quiet. That means no big crowds, no noise, and no crazy high prices for accommodation, food, and entry to attractions. In fact, Bulgaria's most interesting destinations won't cost you a penny. Sofia, the country's capital, is an old city where you can see the Turk and Byzantine influence, but the real charm of the country can't be truly discovered until you step into the countryside. Here, ancient little villages sit next to imposing castles atop mountains. In Bulgaria, you can get an all-day ski lift ticket for a tenth of what you would pay anywhere else in Europe, and the hiking trails will take you up mountains as high as the Alps for free. 3. Cambodia. Cambodia is best known for being home to Angkor Wat, the largest religious monument in the world. Even this world-renowned destination is incredibly affordable to visit. You can just hop on a tuk-tuk, open motorcycle taxi, to reach your destination, buy a temple ticket at the entrance of the first temple, and explore until your heart's content for just pennies. When you're ready to move on, your tuk-tuk driver will take you to the next temple and wait for you. Hiring a tuk-tuk for the entire day will cost you the equivalent of a 15-minute taxi ride in NYC. For even bigger savings, arrive outside of the cool dry season, which runs from November to February. This is high tourist season and the months when prices go up and the crowds get bigger. At any other time, you'll find incredible deals everywhere you look. 4. Nepal. Unless you're planning a full guided trek up Mount Everest, which is definitely not a cheap venture, Nepal is incredibly cheap. Even better, you can still enjoy plenty of trekking and even climbing for pennies. Even massive trekking trips, such as an 11-day hike in Langtang Valley, will only set you back a few $100s, a quarter of what a trek to Everest Base Camp would cost. Local affordable guided treks do exist, but double-check that they offer safe trips. You'll get cheaper prices if you sign up for a trek once you arrive rather than booking in advance. If you're not heading anywhere too technical, you can always explore on your own and save even more money. 5. Morocco. Morocco is one of those countries that can cost you a lot of money or be incredibly cheap, depending on the choices you make. For example, visiting Morocco's famous Marrakech's Bazaar can get pricey, especially if you're after handwoven rugs or painted glass. But if you learn to haggle like your life depends on it, you'll walk away with some budget treasures. If you avoid peak season, November to March, you'll also find lower-priced accommodations. And you can spend plenty of time walking through places like the white and blue Rabat's Udayas Kasbah neighborhood or the dusty trails on the Rif Mountains at no cost. 6. Portugal. With good bus, tram, and train connections, it's easy to travel around Portugal without spending much. While Lisbon can be slightly more expensive, eating and entertainment everywhere else in the country is very budget-friendly. Even popular famous beach destinations such as Camilo Beach in the Algarve can be visited on a shoestring if you plan your trip well and don't need to sleep right on the beach. In general, a visit to Portugal is more about enjoying the local food, walking along the coastline, and discovering the sights, which will keep your costs low and allow you to see more of the country on a tight budget. 7. Bolivia. Bolivia is often passed on for more famous neighbors Peru and Brazil, but this country at the heart of the Andean mountain range has an impressive collection of sights to discover. Bolivia is a multi-ethnic country with 36 official indigenous languages and an ecosystem that varies from the desert llanos, plains, to the polar mountains in the western Andes. Food, transportation, and accommodation in Bolivia cost a fraction of the prices you'll find in other South American countries, and prices are even cheaper during the months of April and May, before the high season starts. 8. Uganda. Kenya and Tanzania are known around the world as the big photo safari destinations. The Serengeti and Masai Mara reserves have the world's largest population of elephants, lions, and giraffes in the world. But safari camps aren't cheap, and both countries suffer from some civil unrest that often means tourists must join guided tours to see anything outside the city, and this means added expenses that end up making the countries less than affordable. To get even better prices, visit between March and May or during the months of October and November. These are the wettest months, so the treks are harder and more slippery, but the trekking packages and permits are much cheaper as well. 9. Dominican Republic. The Caribbean is one of those destinations where using travel packages and all-inclusive stays can sometimes turn out to be cheaper than budgeting on your own, and this is also true for the Dominican Republic. Many of the things to see and do in the Dominican Republic are free. This includes walking around to see the colonial architecture and visiting quirky museums like the Free Museum of Chocolate in Santo Domingo. Punta Cana's Playa Blanca, White Beach, is a great place to visit for snorkeling. Just bring your own mask to keep it free. 10. Egypt. For those interested in ancient civilizations, there are plenty of countries around the world that are more than just affordable. You could head to India to discover the opulence of the Taj Mahal, go to Jordan to see ancient tombs and temples, or fly to Peru to hike through the ruins of the lost city of Machu Picchu. While you can find budget accommodations everywhere in Egypt, you can keep your trip even cheaper by hopping on a 3-night cruise from Aswan to Luxor. For the same price as a couple of movie tickets, you get a place to sleep, some of the best views over temples and monuments on the coast, and often a chance to snorkel or swim in the Nile along the way. So that's wrap up the video guys. Like and share the video and do subscribe to the channel for more videos like these. See you in the next video.